We're missing one backup singer. Any volunteers out there? No, wait, where is she? Come on up. Oh, I shouldn't have brought attention to that, should I? Hey, I'm just curious before we kick off this first number, how many of you out there are attendees for the first time today? Yeah! Glad to have you with us today. We like that. Thank you. Right back there in the back. I see you there. I hope you brought your tithes and offering. No, just kidding. Deb up here yet? Ladies and gentlemen, Deb Dennison.
There she comes. Here she comes.
See what a smashing entrance that makes? Good. All right. Well, we'd like to welcome y'all here today. As you can tell, we're pretty casual up here, but I just kind of wanted to warm up the congregation today with a few "How cold is it?" jokes. So if you'll allow me, that'll accomplish a couple of things. So when I say, "Man, it was cold," you say, "How cold was it?" Okay? Man, it was cold this week.
How cold was it?
Well, it was so cold that the lawyers had their hands in their own pockets. David probably didn't appreciate that. Man, it was cold this week.
How cold was it?
Well, it was so cold this week, I went out to scrape my windshield off. I had to use my Sam's Club discount card. Only got about 20% off. Okay, one more try. Man, it was cold this week.
How cold was it?
Well, it was so cold, I saw a flasher just describing himself. I thought that was questionable right there. Well, that did a couple of things. One, that lets you know that crowd participation is just fine. And also kind of lets me get off without having to start right off into song. Filling in for Adam this week. Let's give him a round of applause. Thank you. And you know, we're here today because we're all part of this big, wonderful thing called life. So what we're here today to do is celebrate. You're welcome to participate in any way you like. Dance floor is open. Vocal mics are used, but you can sing out there. Here we go. Woo-hoo! It's a celebration. Woo-hoo! Is it your celebration? To last throughout the year.
So bring your good times and your laughter too.
We're gonna celebrate and party with you. Come on now. Celebration. We're gonna celebrate and have a good time. Celebration. Let's all celebrate and have a good time. It's time to come together. It's up to you. What's your pleasure?
One more round, come on. Yahoo!
It's a celebration.
Yahoo!
Celebrate.
Celebrate good times, come on.
Let's celebrate.
Celebrate good times, come on.
Let's celebrate. A dedication to last throughout the years.
So bring your good times and your laughter too.
We're gonna celebrate and party with you. Come on now.
Celebration.
We're gonna celebrate and have a good time.
Celebration.
Let's all celebrate and have a good time. It's time to come together. It's celebration. It's your celebration.
Celebrate good times, come on.
Celebrate.
Celebrate good times, come on.
We're gonna have a good time tonight. Let's celebrate. It's alright. Come on, we're gonna have a good time tonight. Let's celebrate. It's alright, baby. Good time tonight. Let's celebrate. It's alright. Come on now, we're gonna have a good time tonight. Let's celebrate. It's alright. It's a celebration. Celebrate y'all.
Celebrate good times, come on.
Let's celebrate.
Celebrate good times, come on.
Celebrate. Sing it with me now.
Celebrate good times, come on.
Let me hear you. Sunday Assembly. Sing it out.
Celebrate good times, come on. Come on. Come on. Come on.
Thank you. Not having much luck. Not him. Come on out on that dance floor and give me your best snarl. Like this. Come on out, drums, best horns, we're ready to kick it off. On the floors of Tokyo, down in London town we go. With the record selection and the music selection, I'm dancing with myself. But there's no one else inside, in the crowd and on the night. But I wait so long for my no vibration, I'm dancing with myself. With myself, with myself. There's another good news, and there's nothing to prove, but I'm dancing with myself. If I look down over the world, and then every time I girl, look so everything I see, that's me by you dancing with myself. So let's see another drink, and give a man time to think. I'm so long and I'd love for the shine. I got the word right there, too. If Take it home now. Fine job out there. We're going to give the unnamed assembly band just a moment here and bring up our next part of the venue today.
We live here?
Oh, yeah, we're live.
No, you did it. Here we go.
There you go.
We live here?
Yeah!
Sure. Hello, Sunday Assembly Nashville. Welcome. Thank you for coming out on this cold morning. Thank you, Steve Phelps. Thank you. Wasn't that super? Weren't they amazing? Yeah. And I really want to thank, in a moment I'm going to call up the terrific Pat Sharp, who has an original piece for us. I want to start by thanking Mandisa Thomas, our primary speaker, for coming all the way from Atlanta today.
Woo!
I also want to thank Mandisa for an awesome title to her talk. We have come this far by sight. So I want you to know, so even though our services may look kind of thrown together, there is a team of people who work hard to try to have a coherent plan for what we're doing here. And I loved it when we got together a couple weeks ago, and we were talking about the title of that talk. And we've come this far by sight. And people were saying, yeah, sight, it's great. That'll give us a theme, you know. I can connect with sight. And I'm thinking, yeah, sight, you know, that's how we know, you know, and our other senses, that's how we can figure things out in the world. So I said, you know, the lawyer in me said, okay, our theme is epistemology, you know. And Matthew wanted to say, no. No $16,000 words, you know. So, and other folks were saying, yeah, sight, you know. And what was that phrase originally?
Walk by faith, not by sight.
Thank you. And then we started arguing over who said that. Okay, you're out of it. You got your final point.
Because I didn't know that anyway.
So we started arguing who said that, you know.
Vin Diesel.
Well, 10 bonus points. So we started arguing about that, man, you know. And we were like, and I'm thinking, yeah, isn't it just like Sunday Assembly? We're sitting here and we're arguing over the scripture. But it was a friendly kind of argument, and it did get me really all of us thinking about the senses and how we know things, and you know, and is anything that the human imagination can come up with, you know, based on what we've seen and touched and smelled, is any of that off limits to the human, you know, to getting together and talking about what it means to be human? And I was like, no, man, I love the human senses. They're great, you know. I got all 6 of them, you know. I'm up here. So, you know, we got 5 that, you know, 5 we all love and share so much. You know, sight, smell, touch, and, you know, our ability to enjoy ice cream, you know. And then that 5th one that always escapes me, you know. Thank you. And then my favorite, my ESP sense. You know, the one that lets me always know what my husband Doug is thinking. You know, like last night we got lucky and neighbors invited our 4-year-old girls to come over for a sleepover. Their first sleepover, man. I'm thinking, great! Now we can really get together and enjoy what we love. You know, this happily married couple. So I break out the ice cream, and I'm taking an extra scoop of ice cream, and I looked at Doug and I said, "Stop thinking that. I know what you're thinking. I haven't put on that much extra weight, okay? All right?" But I knew it. Stop judging, okay? But the senses are super. They help us connect with the world. They help us think about what we know and don't know. And in connection with that, I'd like to call up Pat Sharp, who has an original piece of fiction to share with us. Pat Sharp, please give it up.
Fairies aren't real. Jason gave his wife a quick kiss as she dashed out the door for the monthly planning meeting of the Sunday Assembly. She was running late, typical for a driven type 8 mom, in constant combat with the demands of her world. Her amazing passion to make a difference drove Jason and everyone around her. It was a beautiful spring morning. So instead of retreating back to the bedroom, he decided to tackle the mountain of laundry in the garage. As he entered the garage, he opened the window to let the fresh, warm breezes in and heard his daughter Julia outside playing with Emily. He was surprised. After staying up half the night giggling, where did they have enough energy to be up and playing so early? Julia embodied her mother in the most striking way, expressing an earnest, on-a-mission demeanor, even in her play. Jason trekked back and forth, folding and putting the linens away. The happy sounds of these two little girls wafted in with the wind until... "Emily, we always play fairies," insisted Julia. "Why don't you want to play today?" "Julia, fairies aren't real," protested Emily. "You always act as if they're real. Let's play something else, like school. I'll be the teacher and you be the student." But the volume rose soon after as Jason heard Julia moan, "Emily, I'm tired of playing school. It's boring enough at real school, but this is even more boring." "Well, I don't want to play fairies again, Julia," Emily spoke sternly. "Maybe you do, but I don't want to play pretend." "Well," Julia responded calmly, "I know fairies aren't real, Julia, but lots of things aren't real. My mom is always telling my dad that Kim Kardashian's butt isn't real." "But she still has one, right?" Jason saw the girls fall to the ground laughing, and he chuckled to himself when he heard Julia continue. "I want to use my imagination. I guess we could pretend to be something real, but I think fairies are a lot more fun." Then he listened closely as her tone changed to something like that of her mother's, charged and compelling. "You know, my mom says it's really important to use our imagination. She says that art, movies, video games, and a bunch of other fun stuff comes from kids who use their imaginations." Julia paused for a moment, trying to remember what else her mother said, while Emily caught her breath, her face still red from laughing. But Emily assumed the mantle of the conversation as she said, "My dad uses his imagination to write songs, and my mom uses her imagination at work too. They've got to be creative or it'd be really hard for them." "Right," Julia exclaimed. "So we should use our imaginations too. It'll make playing lots of fun and way better than school." Emily, in agreement, said, "Okay, but I still don't want to play fairies. We play that game all the time." To which Julia enthusiastically replied, "All righty, let's play Harry Potter. I'll be a young witch and you can be my squib mom." Emily laughed, "All right, fine," and stuck her tongue out. Jason quietly finished the laundry, and as he returned inside, the girls' jubilant laughter flew in with Emily's cheer of, "You're right, Julia. Things that aren't real are more fun."
Thank you. I always love it. Love it when there's, I think things we actually make ourselves, now those are real. And thank you, Pat, for making that story for us and for sharing it. So I want to remind us all of something, and that is that we're here at Sunday Assembly Nashville, which is a godless congregation. And I know you're thinking, why are you telling me that? It's because you're thinking, I'm not going to forget that. I know that. I know. Well, I forgot it 5 minutes ago, so that's why I want to remind us. And we have a motto, and it's pretty awesome too, so I don't want to forget it. And our motto is live better, help often, and wonder more. We have a mission, and that is to help everyone find and fulfill their potential, which is a pretty awesome mission. And then we have a vision too, and that vision is to have a godless congregation in every city, town, and village that wants one. Yeah, and I'm speaking of awesome things happening wherever people want it. I want to introduce our speaker today, and that is Mandisa Thomas, who has driven here from Atlanta, especially to be with us. And Mandisa is no stranger to a number of people in our congregation, and I knew of her before and knew about her good work in Atlanta. And Landry Butler, thank you, Landry, made a connection with Mandisa and invited her to come, and she very kindly agreed. And I want Mandisa has been as an Atlanta girl, long time. You grew up in Atlanta?
New York.
New York, oh man, okay. But been down in Atlanta for a while, I know. And Atlanta's an awesome town, a lot of good things happening there. And in 2011, she looked around, she thought, wow, man, I'm right here in the buckle belt. Only this buckle belt, seems to stretch all the way from Seattle down to Miami, and I'm right here in the midst of it. And she was trying to connect with people in her community, and who maybe could connect with her in a real way without being fearful. And so with one other brave co-founder in 2011, she founded Black Nonbelievers. And he's worked really hard on that and connected with a lot of good people in Atlanta and throughout Georgia. And now there are at least six to 8 chapters, affiliated groups from coast to coast in places like Chicago and down in Orlando, and also I want you to know one in Memphis. So let your friends in Memphis know to look for the affiliate group there. And Mandisa is pretty awesome. She's spends a lot of time working on thinking about what she believes and why she believes it, and thinking how that might motivate her to make America a better place. And she spends a lot of time with organizations working toward that goal, and including, she serves on the board of Foundation Beyond Belief, which is a pretty awesome foundation. I want to recommend it to your attention. It, among other things, it sponsors a humanist service agency that sends out people to do good things for humanity in other places. They have a big project, for instance, in Ghana right now, and the foundation also makes grants to organizations doing similar work throughout the Americas in the community. And she also serves on the board of Secular Alliance for Council for Secular America, and which also does excellent work. And I want to tell you, I have met her once before, and that was down in Austin in 2013. I went down there for the American Atheist Convention, and Mandisa was one of the guest speakers at that convention. It was awesome to meet her there. So a few months later, back in town, I had an opportunity to hear Maya Angelou speak, and Maya Angelou, awesome person. I love her. I loved the late Maya Angelou, and she filmed a stadium, a whole basketball stadium here in town over at Belmont University, and I was in the audience there and got to hear Angelou talking about human capacity to overcome adversity, and that was a very inspirational address. And but in the course of that address, she said she was talking about her life in the Black community in particular, and she was talking about how her grandmama had been a very faithful believer, and how that had influenced her life. And then she mentioned, she said, and black atheists, and then she stopped and she said, if there are any. And I thought, oh, bless your heart, Maya. You haven't met my friend Mandisa. He's doing really good work and is inspired by her belief that humans can connect with one another, and that sure enough, we're not alone. We have each other. And so I want to please welcome Maya Mandisa. Mandisa Town.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. I just want to let you know that David basically made my whole speech for me, so we can just get to the singing part now. No, I'm just kidding. But thank you very much for having me as a part of your assembly this morning. I am very, very happy to be here. I'm just going to I have some notes here that I'm going to follow, and I'm just going to I don't have anything boring, not boring or anything like that. It'll be in line with what you already do, which is something that I really do appreciate. Just to elaborate on what David said, I am originally from New York City. I'm 38 years old, born and raised in Jamaica, Queens, New York. Attended the very famous LaGuardia High School of Music and Art and Performing Arts, where I was a vocal major. So creativity and music and just everything that is associated with being creative has been a part of my life. So this is something that I'm very, very glad to see and that I'm very passionate about. Also, too, though, that education was something that was very important to my upbringing and to my mother's vision of what she wanted me and my brothers to do. And so I also bring that into what I try to do. Speaking of Maya Angelou, I remember reciting her poem, And Still I Rise, as a child. And one particular line or passage stood out to me. Bringing the gifts that our ancestors gave, I am the dream and the hope of the slave. And for those of you who are familiar with the history of blacks in this country, this is one of the reasons why Black Nonbelievers was founded, to continue the legacy and diversity of our community, which unfortunately has fallen short, and it is our responsibility to help bring it back. The reason why I titled my talk, We Come This Far by Sight, is because in addition to that Bible passage, there is also a very famous song that is popular among the gospel community and the gospel genre, which is called We Come This Far by Faith. And if you've ever, it's a very short song, but if you're familiar with it, there are many renditions of it, and many in our community tout that as the reason why we've been able to overcome and challenge any injustices in our community. However, it isn't just faith. Faith is very, very overloaded. It is touted as a virtue, when it actually took the vision and sight of people who recognized and realized that it was wrong. Human suffering is wrong, no matter what your background is, what your race is, what your gender is, and also what your identity is. It is wrong to treat human beings differently or badly because they don't look like you. Our premise at BN, like David said, we were founded back in 2011. And that was, if you remember, in 2010, that was at the end, that was when the Eddie Long scandal broke in Atlanta. Anyone here familiar with Eddie Long? He is the bishop at New Birth Missionary Baptist Church in Lithonia, Georgia, who back in 2004 led a march with George W. Bush against same-sex marriage. Now, what comes into play here is that he was accused of having illicit affairs with the young men in his church. And the hypocrisy and the irony that people have known and have seen in their respective churches This isn't just inherent to the Black community, but this hypocrisy and irony of what people stand on, religious people and politicians stand on as far as morality is concerned. They seem to get caught doing the very things that they speak against, which is very, very interesting to say the least. That for such a restrictive way of thinking, for such a restrictive culture, it seems to breed guilt. It seems to breed all of these things that are just innate to human nature. And why should anyone have to apologize for who they are as a human, as individuals, as a group collectively? But the fact that people were willing to hide that was pretty bad. We work with the secular community at large to increase our diversity. We knew that there are other Blacks out there who were questioning their beliefs. Because religion is so dominant within our community, it is very much presented as and it is dominant, but most of the representatives of the Black community do tout their religious beliefs, from your Al Sharptons to your Jesse Jacksons to your Tyler Perrys to your Steve Harveys, who's made very, very disparaging remarks about atheists. So it is important for us to work together to show that not only are there atheists out there, but there are atheists from different backgrounds, including in the Black community. And we didn't complain about the lack of diversity within the secular community. We decided to do something about it. And my motivation for this, one, was an educator who was a mentor of mine growing up. She was a proponent of critical thinking, especially in our communities where the children need it. She actually tried to discourage me from speaking out about my non-belief. And that just fueled me even more, because that was how that is how I was raised. I was not raised to be silent. I was not raised to just accept the status quo. I was not raised to be restrictive. So therefore, I was going to do what I was raised to do, whether she disagreed with my premise or not. It happens. The importance of, again, spotlighting and informing and educating people on the history and legacy of the diversity within the Black community. Not all Black folks were religious or are religious. I think our ancestors might be disappointed with how we have accepted Christianity and so blindly. There are many notable freethinkers, humanists, and folks who work tirelessly on others to combat the injustices within our community. A. Philip Randall, for example, who was the key organizer for the March on Washington. How many of you know who he is? Well, there is a website, African Americans for Humanism, that does explain more about him and others in detail. And I'm very happy to be listed as currently on that site as well. Thank you. People need to know that there is a history and also historically and currently that Blacks have challenged religion and this idea that an all
Ready on the right, ready on the left. A one, a two, a one, two.
Some days only never, some just passing by. I'll be working here forever, at least until I die. Damn if you do, damn if you don't. Supposed to get a raise next week, you know damn well I won't. I'm working for a living. Working for a living. Anywhere and I'm working. Thinking about the giving, 'cause I'm working for a living. Hey, I'm not complaining 'cause I really need to work, but hitting with my buddy, I'm feeling like a jerk. taking what they give me 'cause I'm working for a living. Working for a living, living and a working. I'm taking what they give me 'cause I'm working for a living. Working for a living, living and a working. All right, one more today. We're going to close it out with something maybe just a touch on the sentimental side, even if you think about it that way. But, you know, it's great to come
This
in
song's
here.
dedicated to me, actually.
It is dedicated. Yeah! I was going to say that. Promise I was. Promise I was. It's kind of nice to come in here and meet with all the folks that you can really open yourself up to. And so we love you guys, and we hope you love us too. And this is kind of what this is all about. How good that is. How good that is. Here, let's get some notes.
A 1, 2.
How sweet it is to be loved by you. How sweet it is to be loved by you. Needed the shelter of someone's arms. There you were. Needed someone to understand my ups and downs. Right there you were. With sweet love and devotion. You've been touching my emotion. I wanna stop and thank you, baby. I just wanna stop and thank you, baby. How sweet it is to be loved by you. How sweet it is to be loved by you. I close my eyes at night, wondering where would I be without you. Everything I did was just ignore. Everywhere I went since I've been there before. You brightened up for me all of my days. Love so sweet, in so many ways. I wanna stop and thank you, baby. I just wanna stop and thank you, baby. Oh yeah, how sweet it is to be loved by you. It's like sugar sometimes. How sweet it is to be loved by you. Let me something sweet, Frank. You were better to me than I was for myself. For me, there's you, and there ain't nobody else. I wanna stop and thank you, baby. I just wanna stop and thank you, baby. Oh, how sweet it is to be loved by you. Like jelly, baby. How sweet it is to be loved by you. Yes, it is. Oh yeah, how sweet it is to be loved by you. It's like honey to the bee, baby. Oh yeah, how sweet it is. I said it's almost like maple syrup, baby. I said it's just a little bit like blackstrap molasses now. Why, it's even like Miss Butterwoods. It's like agave nectar, honey. It's like a little dose of Splenda. It's even like sweet and low. It's like high fructose corn syrup, baby. I want you to know that it's just like sucrose to me. Why, it's even like a big heaping bowl of aspartame. tall, honey. Yeah. It's even like Stevia. I said, how sweet it is to be loved.